truth seekers. Welcome back. Zach here. This past weekend, February 25th, 2017, it was circulating on social media that Nicki Minaj, the singer, had died. It was a hoax. We've seen these before. What I want to show you is what's so interesting about the date the hoax happened and what's also interesting about Nicki Minaj's December 8th birthday. So it happened this past Saturday. This is the message that went viral on social media. Isn't it amazing how a hoax can go viral? Just shows you what kind of society we live in. People who don't check facts, who just take what's presented to them. Had anybody done a web search, they would have seen very quickly that she hadn't died. Anyway, it was written this past Saturday at about 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, February 25th, 2017, our beloved rapper Nicki Minaj passed away. Nicki Minaj was born on December 8th, 1982 in St. James. So the day that the rumor said she died this past Saturday, that was a date with 44 numerology. And so often when celebrities die young, they die by this number right here, 44. The word kill equals 44. The word execution shows up again and again around death. Her date of birth, December 8th, that's the day John Lennon was killed. That's the day Dimebag Darrell was killed. Many people have died over the years on December 8th. The reason for that date being a date of death is because in numbers it connects to death. 12, 8 is the date for December 8th. In numerology, 12 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So the date breaks down to 38. The word death equals 38. The word killing, 38. Murder, 38. R.I.P. 38. They say John Lennon was shot with a 38 on December 8th. Dimebag was 38 years old. The word rapper also has gematria of 38. We've seen so many rappers over the years die by the numbers 38, 44. Tupac Shakur, Notorious B.I.G., both dead on dates with 38 numerology. So anyhow, the date they said she died has numerology that corresponds with so many suspicious deaths. Her birthday is also interesting. Nicki Minaj is currently 34 years old. Currently 34. The word murder also has gematria of 34. What's so interesting is from her birthday, her 34th birthday, to the date of the death rumor was 79 days. And look, those are the numbers for murder, 34 and 79. She's 34 years old, 79 days after her birthday, the date with 44 numerology. We saw Bill Paxton die on this day. You know, they told us Bill Paxton really died. Bill Paxton equals 44, dead on this same date. The giant from Game of Thrones died on this date, reportedly. The same day that was the rumor for Nicki. Both of those people dead by the numbers. I have videos up on Bill and Neil Fingleton, the giant, if you want to check those out. The name Nicki Minaj in gematria is also interesting, 48 and 93. The word propaganda equals 48 and 93, just like Nicki Minaj. The word hoax has gematria, 48. This was a death hoax. But what I wanted to document here is just how the same numbers that we see again and again in these ritualistic deaths are coded into her hoax the same way. And what that tells me is the same gang, the Freemasons, the Zionist Jews who control the entertainment industry, they put out this death hoax. We saw 2 celebrities die on this date and one have a hoax death. Nicki. So 2 more things I want to cover in this video. NBA All-Star Weekend, the big news was the trade of DeMarcus Cousins. If you don't follow the NBA, they say DeMarcus Cousins, who played for the Sacramento Kings, is the most talented big man in the league. Most talented big man in the NBA was traded over All-Star Weekend to New Orleans. And right away, when they traded him, I noticed that the date was 59 numerology. The word Negro equals 59, slave 59, blues 59, Rasta 59. They traded him to New Orleans, which used to be a slave trading port. And think about the blues and New Orleans. You know, Black City, 59 stamped on black people all throughout history. When I was growing up, when I was a child, my mother would always say to me, you know, Zach, you shouldn't watch those sports leagues. That's just the modern day slave trade. And I'd say, oh, Mom, that's not true. All these guys, you know, they're all rich and famous. This isn't so bad. But now that I've grown up, you know, I realize my mother was right. Professional sports are the modern day slave trade. We're told these men make all this money, but I'm not even sure it's true, honestly. You look at a boxer like Floyd Mayweather that supposedly makes millions and millions each fight, yet has a house full of cars that he's not allowed to drive a single one of. He said that on TV. What was it, MTV Cribs years ago? They were showing his house. He's like, oh yeah, but I'm not allowed to drive him. Wait a minute. How could a man who has, you know, makes all these millions of dollars not be allowed to drive his own cars? You see? And you just look at how all these athletes go dead broke as soon as they're out of the league. I think the whole time that they're making these big salaries, all the agents and people around them are just siphoning all the money off them. If they're even getting these contracts. If you're new to my channel, I show how often the contracts that these players have are the exact same as their name gematria. It might be all part of the deception, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least. But the point is, these people, they have no say over their lives. They get traded around. They get told where to go. They get told how many points to score each night, when to win, when to lose. It's not a real competition. It's all a show. And them trading this man to this city on the date with 59 numerology, no coincidence. Keep in mind this happened in Black History Month, February, which ends on the 59th day of the year, the awkward month. What I didn't know when they traded him is that New Orleans now has NOLA on their jerseys. I guess this is an acronym that the city goes by, NOLA for New Orleans, Louisiana. But what the people don't realize is whoever coined this is a real asshole, and there's something behind these letters that people don't realize. NOLA sums to 42. Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. NOLA sums to 42. 42 is the other number stamped on black people all throughout history. There's only one month that sums to 42. It's February, Black History Month, which ends on the 59th day. There's a reason Jackie Robinson wore 42. The most hateful word for black people sums to 42. So does the slang term brothers. So does the word history. Black History Month in February. But this is what it's all about, you know. You think about what we learned with regards to the slave trade, breeding black people to build them bigger, stronger, so that they could do more slave duties. Here's the biggest, strongest, big man in the NBA, traded on slave day. So let's cover one more thing. This also ties in with racism. Over the weekend, there was a headline about Muhammad Ali Jr. being detained at an airport in Florida for being Muslim. The story came out this weekend, but the story was from the beginning of February when the travel ban was going on. The reason I suspect that they waited weeks after to release the story is because the story's not true. I suspect that the story's 100% fiction, but being used to work up people. You know, racism is real. When you put out headlines that remind of racism, it works people up. And you could say rightfully so, but understand that's what the powers that be want. They want people worked up and angry. So Muhammad Ali Jr. detained at airport, asked about being Muslim, says lawyer. The date of this news was February 25th, 2017. It's the date they put out the story. They said the incident happened at the beginning of the month, February 7th, so they waited 18 days or a span of 19 days. 18 days later, a span of 19 days. Remember, Muhammad Ali had the 19-mile funeral procession in Louisville. 19 is the most significant number in the Quran. There's a book called the Quran Code. Talks about how 19 is the basis of the Quran. Anyway, the date of this news was a date with 64 numerology. Civil rights equals 64. The Civil Rights Act happened in 64. Muhammad Ali was a face of the Civil Rights Act. This story is about his son having his civil rights violated. The date of the incident was a date with 46 numerology, February 7th, 2017. That took me right back to the death of Muhammad Ali from Parkinson's. Parkinson's equals 46, Louisville equals 46, Phoenix equals 46. Muhammad Ali, born in Louisville, died in Phoenix where his Parkinson's hospital is. The college football season, Louisville got the 19-year-old phenom quarterback with the 46 name gematria. We saw Rashaan Salam, the former Heisman winner who was Muslim, found dead in a park. Park equals 46. I showed how that story was connected to the phenom quarterback at Louisville and why he would win the Heisman, most likely because of that story. He did. So anyway, 46, important number. It was coded all over the Louisville football season. That young 19-year-old phenom quarterback has the same birthday as Muhammad Ali. Not by coincidence, but because we're living out a Masonic Zionist agenda where people are being birthed and bred to fulfill roles, such as the quarterback of a football team right after the death of Muhammad Ali. When you really start to think about this stuff, people, you see how well planned out the powers that be are. In 2014, I told you why Muhammad Ali would die at age 74, and he did. Muhammad equals 74, Jesus 74, cross 74. The powers that shouldn't be, they work by this code. I guarantee you, many moons ago, they knew that they were going to off Muhammad Ali at age 74, and that's why they were also breeding this phenom quarterback years ago to all be synced up with this. You know? Maybe you don't know. You should know. Again, I just always have to say it. I don't know how I have critics. I mean, everything I've ever said is backed up. Right now, there's this guy, Jeranism, who thinks the Earth's flat, who's talking shit about me on his radio show and how stupid gematria is while telling people the Earth is flat. Just think about what a fucking retard you gotta be to think the Earth is flat, first of all. And second, to say that my work is bogus. I mean, you have to be fucking retarded to think the Earth's flat. So maybe if you're a fucking retard, you can't comprehend gematria. That might make sense. That might explain a person like Jeranism. But if you're in that camp, you know, try to find the switch in your brain. Try to turn it on. This work's undeniable. My work's based on evidence, stating the facts. Things like flat Earth, conspiracy nonsense, that's based on bullshit. Big contrast between my work and bullshit like the flat Earth Saya. Sorry, just had to throw that rant in there. So this article, it also emphasizes that his son is currently 44 years old. Ali Jr., who is 44. The date of this story, February 25th, 17, it was a date with 64 numerology. It was also a date with 44 numerology. We saw two celebrities die on this date, as we talked about. We saw the Nicki Minaj death hoax on this date. The word prophet also has gematria 44. Muhammad Ali was named after the Prophet Muhammad. So was his son. The word prophecy equals 52. Muhammad Ali was Muhammad Ali for 52 years, from the time he was 22 until he was 74. So Muhammad Ali, used as an agent in propaganda over the years. Now here his son is, and all by the numbers. You know, Muhammad Ali made his propaganda by the numbers, used as the symbol he was. No different with his son. This is how the powers that shouldn't be work. So just wanted to cover these three stories. They're all interesting. Until next time, True Seeker Core. Want to make one last point about the detainment of Muhammad Ali Jr. 1964 was the year of the Civil Rights Act. And again, the date of this detainment was a date with 64 numerology. Muhammad Ali became boxing champion in 1964. Notice that boxer also has gematria of 64. In Miami Beach, which also has gematria of 64 and 46. Muhammad Ali, boxing champion in 64 in Miami Beach. 44 years later, in 2008, when the first black president was elected, number 44 Obama, who ran on hope. That same year, 2008, Muhammad Ali threw out the first pitch at a Miami Marlins game. MM. M's the 13th letter, 1 plus 3 is 4, so MM is 4-4. Muhammad Ali, 44 years after becoming boxing champion, threw out the first pitch. You might recall the day he died, one of the news stories was how the Miami Marlins knew about his death. The first thing to break that Muhammad Ali had died June 3rd, 2016, the first source to break the news was the Miami Marlins. Not the news itself, but the Miami Marlins on their scoreboard revealed the death of Muhammad Ali before anyone else. 44, the kill number, the 44-year anniversary, or not 44-year anniversary, but 44 years after becoming boxing champion, he threw out the first pitch. We're talking about 64 and 44. Now we're talking about his son on the date with 64 and 44 numerology being detained in a Florida airport. So just one last important point I wanted to throw in there. It's all a show by the numbers, the whole thing. Until next time.